So today's the 28th of February, 2019. And after 24 hours of thinking, after the testimony of Michael Cohen in Congress yesterday, I've come up with some ideas, concerns, or opinions on what I saw. I had witnessed Watergate. I had witnessed the Clinton testimonies years ago. Even Iran-Contra with Ollie North, who was involved with that. So I have experienced and watched different congressional hearings, Senate hearings over my lifetime. And what I saw, though, really gave me great pain. The division between the Republicans and the Democrats are extremely vicious. It's not just a different party. It's not even just different thinking. It's like this cutthroat, I'm going to kill you before you kill me type of thinking. And legislators are actually supposed to have a sense of negotiation. They're working for the American public, and the public isn't one party or the other. In fact, there are many people that are no party. I mean, I actually view myself more of an independent than I do a Democrat, and I'm very less of a Republican because there aren't many Republicans that I feel give me what I'm looking for as a government representative. So when I was watching some of them, it was kind of appalling to see Jordan, who was the ranking member, the Republican ranking member, how he was questioning or yelling at Cohen. And I'm like, why don't you ask a legitimate question? You're just reiterating stuff that's already been done. And there are other members in the Republican group that were vicious like that. Then there were some that were actually asking information. They actually wanted to know something. They wanted clarification of Cohen's crimes that he admits he did, and he lied. And most of his things were tax evasion issues, and it was with banking money, apparently. And there were some that actually listened. But a lot of them, when they asked him certain questions, they wanted him to answer them, but not on their time. And they kept saying, well, this is my time. This is my time. I don't want you to take my time. Well, the problem is, how is he going to answer the question that you asked if it's not on his time or your time? And there were a few of them that were like that. Meadows was like that. It was a Republican senator. I will say Michigan, my home state, had a incredibly intelligent gentleman, in my opinion, and he's Republican, Representative Amash, who treated Cohen as a human. He asked legitimate questions, and he got answers because he allowed Cohen to ask and to answer. He asked, and then Cohen could answer the question, which to me is what the testimony should have been about. There were some very hostile, derogatory, inhumane type of questions. And my big concern through the whole thing was, why aren't any of the Republicans defending Trump? Why aren't they saying, well, are you sure? I mean, and what? And they were more attacking Cohen, which I guess because he came in to testify, and they were attacking the Democratic Party because Cohen had been invited to come. He volunteered to come. The man did not have to come to this. This was not, he was not subpoenaed. He wasn't threatened or anything. He was asked, and he volunteered because he is trying to turn his life around, he says. And you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that anybody who would put themselves through this kind of 7-8 hour bullshit, which is what it was, must be at least seriously thinking of trying to help himself. And when they asked him if he was going to get his sentence reduced for being there, he said, no, this is a voluntary thing. He is working with the New York courts and whatever for reduction, helping them with some other things. But the one thing that I thought was that this Jim Jordan, who was the ranking member, he just couldn't seem to get his head out of his ass. He just kept asking these vindictive type things, and when Cohen tried to answer, he just blew him off for everything. And in fact, there was one thing about, they kept asking him if he was going to do a book and a movie, and he said, no, I'm not. And yet they would turn it around and said, well, he's admitted that he's going to do that. If you listen to the questions they asked him, he said no, he's not doing it. So instead of actually asking legitimate questions, the emotions were just pretty much out of this side. And then this Representative Meadows, who is a Republican, brought in this one lady who is a friend of, I think, the Trumps, or friend of Meadows, somebody, and basically wanted to prove that Trump wasn't racist because she's black. Well, you can be racist and you can have friends of color and still be racist by the way you react. And Meadows is known to be part of the birthers. In fact, in 2012, I think it was, he was out making statements about Obama being sent back to his country and whatever during a political event. So when Michigan's Representative Talbot made a statement that she thought bringing this lady out as a token seemed like a racist event, and in her feeling as a person of she's from an area in Dearborn, Michigan, where we have a very large Arab population, and she considers herself a person of color, and that she felt it was racist, and she never accused him of being racist. She just said it was a racist-looking event. Now, she is Muslim, and she's, of course, a female. And all of a sudden, Mr. Meadows, Representative Meadows, wanted her to immediately have anything she said stricken from the record. He looked like he was ready to cry and all this and that. And I'm like, really? I mean, what she said, she didn't say he was a racist. It just looked racist. And there's a difference, you know. So Eli Cummings, who is a black American and was the head of the congressional group there, said, well, if anybody would claim it's racist, it's me because I'm black, you know. So he immediately he was intervening to try to resolve it. And he says, could you tell me repeat what you said? She goes, I can read what I said. So she reread it, and she never said that Meadows was racist. It was just an appearance. And Meadows is over there, like, crying, looking like he's ready to sob and cry. And he goes, well, I have nieces and nephews who are of color, and I love them, and I would never be that way. And then Cummings admitted that he was a friend. They were personal friends. Well, what I thought was more interesting than the racist situation was if a man had said it to Meadows, he probably would have been a little bit offended and not really upset. But he was like in tears almost, and yet she was just, and Tabib said, and I'm probably slaughtering her name because I'm trying to remember how it was pronounced. Even though I live in the Detroit area, I don't always get everybody's names right. She just said, look, I'm known to be blunt and frank, and if I was going to call you racist, I would have said that right out loud. The interesting point for me wasn't so much about the word. It's about the fact that the men in Congress and the Senate become so emotionally volatile, and they fight, and they scream, and they yell, and they're all blah, 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 blah. And nobody views that as unstable. But if a woman seems to be expressive, and if she so much as has a tear, she's emotional, she's PMSing, she's unstable, she's not able to be a good senator or a congressperson or whatever. And it just reiterates the sexism that is still so prevalent and has not improved. And I don't give a damn about the women's movement or the Me Too movement or any of that, because it is not improved. I can tell you as a woman, and I've been one for 69 years, the treatment that I receive to this day, even with the so-called Me Too movement and women's lib that I went through in the 60s and 70s, so I've been there, I've experienced it, I am still treated as a third to fourth class citizen. And because I have disabilities, I would say fifth class. In fact, that might be high on the ranking. But I have noticed this pattern that seems to be exploding is the word. Whenever a woman challenges anybody in office for anything, we now have a female governor. We have a female Secretary of State. We have a female Congress, well, we have more than one of them, Congress and senators that have come from Michigan. And yet, even though we have the Flint water crisis, we have people that have died, our water system and our infrastructure here is so horrible, our female governor is terrible. She's doing this, she's doing that and everything. She's only been in since January, for cripe's sake. But the fact that the male governors and senators and whatever have allowed people to die, they've hidden all the facts on the water. We've had trouble in Detroit. We have trouble in all of our major cities. We've got corruption going all over the place. It's never as vicious as it is towards women. And one of the things that people seem to forget is, and especially the male population forgets, you're not here without a woman, because they haven't quite figured out how to have children be born without the uterus of a woman. So for every man who treats a woman wrong, every man who becomes violent and harassing, and what I saw in that testimony was some very pretty violent men. And as a survivor of violence, it triggered a lot of anxiety for me watching them being so vindictive. Most of them were being vindictive against Cohen, but when I saw how they reacted against some of the female representatives, it saddened me that this country, who has fought numerous wars to prevent dictatorships and to prevent women from being slaughtered and ripped away. And, you know, I mean, supposedly we're these wonderful people. You know, I'm going to tell you, we're slipping down. We're slipping down so bad in this country. It is terrifying. I'm just hoping that we find a way to become better. Because we sure, Eli Cummings is right. We can do better than this. We are better than this. And the divide that this country has widened has been one of such horrible viciousness. And I am so sad to see that this country, which can do so much better, and we are capable, we need to learn to communicate again. We need to be good again. That's my opinion. This is the last day of February 2019, and I'm just hoping we can all be better. Bye.